It had been raining quite heavily for the preceding 48 hours, and I immediately knew that there was trouble ahead. But we just felt in our bones that something was going to happen.
The river is so important to me. It's the reason I am still in Salford.
I love the River Irwell. I've grown up on its banks.
I'm going to take my nephew and my son with the Christmas money to go and get some computer games that they wanted to get. They got up late, and thank God they did.
I knew if the river level was already high, and it takes between 6 and 8 hours for the water to trickle down from Rottenstall and Ramsbottom and Bacup. But in a few hours' time it was going to be of biblical proportions.
The next thing is, there's people running all over the streets. So I've got my shoes on, come downstairs, he went, I'm just going to move the car. And within about 15-20 minutes it was coming in underneath the door.
When we got to the junction of Lower Broughton Road and East Avenue, I turned round and you could see the river sort of at the bank. It must have been coming over because it was so fast.
So I started saying to people, really, look, just get your stuff upstairs, don't take a chance. That was about 1 o'clock-ish. About 2 o'clock it came over.
I've only ever seen the flood basin flood once before, and the water just crept over the lip about an inch deep and moved a few plastic bottles. But at 9:15 on Boxing Day, the water was already just about to crest over the lip of the flood basin. And what started as a slow trickle with little drinks bottles and footballs floating over the lip soon turned into a 4-foot raging torrent of water.
When we managed to get round, Pegasus Square was quite deep. That was like a lake. And it just happened so quick. So quick.
And there were people all over the estate then, trying to help out people, trying to look for the neighbours, see if they were all right, knocking on the doors. That's when the police turned up.
The police knocked on the door and said that we'd have to leave the premises, especially if we've got children and young children and stuff. They had a rope as well down Lower Broughton Road so you could pull because the current was quite strong.
Because people were just driving round, joyriding and having a look to see what was going on, which is unfortunately human nature.
From walking from our house, something that'd take like literally 5 minutes took them half an hour. There was boats in the street, which I found quite amusing.
About 2.5, 3 foot in the house, in the front. Obviously it was dirty, it was muddy, it was just full of rubbish basically.
Mud, glorious mud, loads of it.
Losing contents of your house is the worst part about it, and myself, I'd cancelled my insurance 4 months ago after paying it for 17 years.
Anything that was on the floor just got through outside. It didn't matter what it was, we didn't even look, it just got picked up and launched outside. So almost will come a time when we go, oh, where's that? And we know where it is, it's in the skip somewhere now.
I went and opened the trust up and all the kids' plastic toys were all over. So the water must have come through with some force.
One of the things that really astounded me was the amount of rubbish that came up from the river. And a legacy of the floods, believe it or not, is we can walk all the way along this riverbank now and there's plastic bags, there's debris everywhere. And I've got a concern about how, in actual fact, this is impacting on the environment, on animals, wildlife in the area.
I know what to do, there's a flood. That's about it. And it's brought the community together, goes to show what a good place we actually do live in.
Within, 24 hours, we managed to coordinate over 130 volunteers. So we met the next morning at 9:30 at St Boniface's and we devised teams, clean-up teams.
There were just so many people out. Every house in Pegasus Square must have had 6, 7, 8 people.
I just send messages saying we need more mops and we need more buckets, we need more cleaning gear. So it was just constant. It was constant all the time. And that just didn't stop just on clean-up day. That went on for the following week and is still going on in the background. So I think for that on its own was just the community spirit, it was just amazing. I was quite overwhelmed by it all.
I think one of the things I've learned from this process is that we can have a plan, but the plan's only as good sometimes as the people who implement it. What's really important is that when we go forward from this now, we need people to be aware of where the neighbours are, who is vulnerable, who needs support, how we can knock on that door, having your own plan within your own house, within your own communities in some respects, so it can be a bit more coordinated.
Manchester City Council, or in those days just plain Manchester Council, commissioned a report in 1866 into the flooding to say what could be done to alleviate it, and the finding of the report was quite simply stop building on the floodplain. And here we are exactly 150 years later, 1866 to 2016, and there will be another report written, I've no doubt, and I've no doubt that that report will say stop building on a floodplain.